All right, today we're going to dive into one of your body's most incredible built-in features, its very own self-cleaning and renewal program. We're going to talk about how it works and, more importantly, how you can actually switch it on using a simple but really powerful tool, fasting.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you had a system that's always working behind the scenes to keep your cells young, healthy, and just firing on all cylinders? It might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but I promise you, it's a very real biological process, and the science behind it is it's absolutely fascinating. But, to really appreciate the solution, we've got to start with the problem. See, as we get older, our bodies naturally start to accumulate a bit of, cellular damage. And a huge part of this process involves something that researchers have given the perfect nickname, zombie cells.
And honestly, that zombie analogy is pretty much perfect. These are basically older cells that have stopped doing their jobs. They can't divide anymore, but they just refuse to die. Instead, they just hang around, kind of like bad neighbors, releasing all these inflammatory signals that damage the healthy cells around them. This buildup is one of the key reasons we age.
Okay, so that sounds a little grim, right? But here's the amazing part. Your body has a super powerful defense against these cellular zombies. It's a process called autophagy, and you can think of it as your very own internal, microscopic recycling crew.
The name itself is kind of cool. It literally means self-eating in Greek, and that's exactly what it is. Autophagy is how your cells intelligently identify all the dysfunctional or junky parts, break them down, and then recycle the raw materials to build new, healthy components. It's the ultimate quality control system for your body.
And listen, this isn't some fringe wellness trend. The science here is rock solid. In fact, the discovery of how autophagy actually works was so important, so revolutionary, that it earned the Nobel Prize in Medicine back in 2016. That should tell you everything you need to know about how critical this process is for our health.
And we're not just talking about a little spring cleaning for your cells. The benefits here are, they're huge. Autophagy is absolutely essential for a strong immune system, a healthy metabolism, protecting our brains from diseases, and even helping our bodies fight off cancer. It's a big deal.
So how does this whole cleanup crew actually get the job done? Well, it's this really elegant four-step process. First, the cell detects there's a problem, maybe an old protein or a damaged part. Then, a special membrane, kind of like a tiny garbage bag, forms around the junk. After that, this bag merges with the cell's recycling center, called the lysosome, which breaks everything down into raw materials that the cell can use again. It's just incredibly efficient.
Okay, so that all sounds amazing, right? Which leads to the million-dollar question. If this process is so important, how do we turn it on? Well, it turns out one of the most powerful and, frankly, accessible ways to do it is through fasting.
Think of it like this. When you stop eating for a while, your body makes a really important shift. It quickly burns through its easy-access energy source, which is glucose from food. And then it's forced to flip what's called a metabolic switch. It starts tapping into your stored fat for fuel. And that little bit of stress is the powerful signal that tells your cells, okay team, it's time to clean house and get more efficient.
So, what's actually happening inside your body and when? Now, of course, this is going to vary a bit from person to person, but the research gives us a pretty solid roadmap. Around the 12 to 16-hour mark of a fast, that metabolic switch really starts to flip. By 18 to 24 hours, autophagy is seriously ramping up. And if you go even longer, other cool processes start to happen. The key thing to remember is that even a 16-hour fast can start to get this ball rolling. The science is cool, but how do you actually do this? How do you apply it in the real world? Well, there are several really well-researched ways to do intermittent fasting, and the great thing is there's a method to fit almost any lifestyle. Let's break down the three most common approaches. First up is the 16-8 method. You fast for 16 hours and have an 8-hour window to eat. This is usually the easiest place for beginners to start. Then you've got the 5-2 diet, where you eat normally 5 days a week and really cut back on calories for 2 days. And finally, there's alternate day fasting, which is a bit more advanced. Honestly, the real secret here is just finding a pattern that feels sustainable for you. Now, it's also really important to be real about this. When you first start out, you might feel hungry. You might feel a little irritable or find it hard to concentrate. Your body has to adjust, and that's okay. The research is super clear on this. For most people, these side effects are temporary, and they usually go away within a few weeks. So, beyond this incredible cellular cleanup, What are the other tangible, scientifically proven benefits you can expect? And super importantly, how do you do this safely?
Let's talk about weight loss, because that's a big one for a lot of folks. The data is pretty compelling. One huge meta-analysis found that overweight women lost an average of nearly 2 kilograms, that's about 4¼ pounds, just from doing time-restricted eating, and get this, without even actively trying to count calories.
And this is maybe one of the most critical points to understand. When you go on the traditional diet, a big chunk of the weight you lose, sometimes up to a quarter of it, is actually muscle. But intermittent fasting is much better at preserving that precious lean muscle. And that is so important because your muscle is your metabolic engine. It's what burns calories all day long. So keeping it protects your metabolism. On top of all that, studies show people actually find it easier to stick with.
But honestly, the benefits go so far beyond just the number on the scale. Research shows it can lead to lower insulin levels, which is fantastic for metabolic health. It can improve markers for heart health, lower inflammation throughout your body, and even help create a healthier, more diverse gut microbiome. And when you pair it with exercise, the effects get even better.
Okay, let's pause for a second, because safety is absolutely number one. This is not for everyone. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you're an adolescent who's still growing, if you're underweight, or if you have any history of eating disorders, it is absolutely essential that you speak with a healthcare professional before you even think about trying this.
All right, so let's tie this all together. What are the big takeaways here? Number 1, your body has this amazing natural self-cleaning process called autophagy. Number 2, this process is what clears out those old, dysfunctional zombie cells that are linked to aging. 3, fasting is one of the most powerful ways we know of to switch this system on. And 4, if you're curious to try it, just start slow with something like the 16-8 method and really listen to your body. When you look at all the science, it really shows us that we have this incredibly powerful tool for health. It's literally built right into our own biology. So the real question is, are you ready to use it? And one last, very important reminder before we go. The information we talked about today is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Please, always consult with a qualified healthcare professional to figure out if intermittent fasting is a safe and appropriate choice for your unique situation.
All right, quick reset. Blink twice, stretch your shoulders, and don't worry, your health lesson isn't over yet. We're switching gears now, but this next topic is just as important for your body. And if you care about staying healthy the smart way, make sure you're subscribed.
You know that feeling, right? You're standing in the grocery store, staring at this giant wall of cooking oils. You see canola, sunflower, soybean, and so many of them have these labels that scream heart healthy. But what if that's not the whole story? What if one of the most common things in our diet is secretly causing a whole lot of problems? We're gonna dig into that. And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are these oils the good guys they're marketed to be, or is there some kind of hidden harm we've all been missing? To get to the bottom of it, we have to look at the facts. And this right here is the whole story in a nutshell. For pretty much all of human history, our diet contained a really balanced ratio of 2 critical fats, omega-6 and omega-3. We're talking about 1-to-1. But just look at the modern diet. That ratio is just completely out of whack. We're talking 15-to-1 and sometimes way higher. This one change, this massive shift, is the key to understanding everything else we're going to talk about. So how in the world did we get here? That's what we're going to dive into first with the modern oil dilemma. We'll look at the exact oils that are at the center of this whole debate. Here they are. They've been nicknamed the Hateful Eight by Dr. Kate Shanahan. These are the main industrial seed oils that have just taken over our food supply. We're talking canola, corn, cottonseed, soybean, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and rice bran. And trust me, once you start looking for them on labels, you will find them everywhere. Now, the main compound in all these oils is something called linoleic acid, or LA for short. It's the most common omega-6 fat. And this is so important. Linoleic acid is not evil. It's actually an essential fatty acid. Our bodies need a little bit of it. The real problem, and what the research is showing us, isn't that it exists, it's the unbelievable amount we're all consuming now. Okay, so why does that amount matter so much? Well, to get that, we need to picture what's happening inside our bodies. Think of it like a seesaw, your body's omega seesaw. It's this delicate balance that controls some really important stuff. So like we saw, for thousands and thousands of years, our bodies evolved expecting this perfect balance. Our internal machinery, our cells, our entire system, it's all designed to work in a world where we get about the same amount of omega-6 as omega-3. And this is the perfect way to visualize the biochemical tug of war that's going on inside you. See, both omega-6 and omega-3 fats have to use the same enzymes to get converted into compounds the body can use. When omega-6 is everywhere, like in our modern diet, it hogs all those enzymes and they get busy making things that promote inflammation. But when the ratio is balanced or you have more omega-3s, those same enzymes create powerful anti-inflammatory molecules. We've basically tilted the entire seesaw towards inflammation. So what happens when your body is stuck in that pro-inflammatory state all the time? Well, a ton of research is now linking this exact imbalance to some of the biggest health problems we face today. Chronic inflammation, which is tied to heart disease, certain autoimmune disorders, metabolic problems, and even obesity. So let's be super clear here. The point isn't to say omega-6 is bad and we should never have it. It plays a role. The real issue is that our diets have become so completely flooded with it, mostly from these seed oils, that it's just drowning out all the good anti-inflammatory work of the omega-3s. It's all about getting that balance back. All right, but this whole imbalance thing isn't just about what's going on inside our bodies, it also totally changes how we should be thinking about cooking. So in this next part, the science of the sizzle, we're about to bust a myth you've probably heard your entire life. We've all been taught this, right? Cook with oils that have a high smoke point. If it's not smoking, you're good to go. But check out this quote from a study. It basically says that the scientific proof that smoke point equals safety under heat is actually pretty weak. Okay, so let's look at the actual data from that study, because this is wild. This chart shows something called polar compounds. You can just think of them as harmful gunk that gets created when oil breaks down from heat. You want that number to be low. Now find canola oil on the chart. See how as it gets hotter, the amount of that harmful gunk just shoots through the roof? But now look at extra virgin olive oil. It stays incredibly low and stable, creating way fewer of those toxic byproducts, even when it gets hot. And here's another chart that shows us why. This one measures oxidative stability, which is just a fancy way of saying how well an oil can resist damage from heat. And again, look who's at the top. Extra virgin olive oil, showing it's a real champ at staying stable. And way down at the bottom, you guessed it, the seed oils like sunflower and canola. They're packed with those less stable fats we talked about, which means they just fall apart much more easily under heat. So the big takeaway here is this: forget about smoke point. The real thing we should be looking at when we choose a cooking fat is its chemical stability. The oils that are high in stable fats, like monounsaturated and saturated fats, are the ones that are going to hold up the best when you turn up the heat. All right, this is all fascinating science, but what do we actually do about it in our day-to-day lives? That's what this final section is all about, a practical guide to fats. We're going from the why to the how-to with some really clear, simple steps. It really comes down to this simple 3-part plan. Step 1, start actively reducing those 8 industrial seed oils. That means becoming a label reader on things like salad dressings, chips, crackers, you name it. Step 2, on the flip side, you want to purposefully increase your omega-3s to help fix that ratio. So think fatty fish like salmon or plant-based sources like flax and chia seeds. And finally, step 3, choose your cooking fats based on stability, not the old smoke point myth. And here is a super handy cheat sheet to make this all a little easier. For cooking at high heat, things like extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, and ghee are fantastic stable choices. For things you're not heating up, like salad dressings, you can use those nutrient-rich oils like flaxseed or walnut oil. And then over on the right, you've got your avoid or reduce list, which should look pretty familiar by now. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one last thing. It's a number that really puts this whole journey into perspective. That number is 680. What on earth could that mean? Well, 680 days is the approximate half-life of that linoleic acid that gets stored in your body's fat cells. That means it could take you almost 2 years just to clear out half of the excess you've stored up. Now, that's not meant to discourage you at all. It's just to show you that fixing this is a marathon, not a sprint. Real, lasting change takes time and consistency. So, let's bring it all home. We've seen the problem, we've looked at the science, and now let's focus on the path forward. The path to getting back to a lasting, healthy balance. The most important thing to take away from all this isn't to be afraid of fat. Not at all. The The real goal is to get past that old school thinking and start to understand fat quality. It's about learning the difference and making smart choices to bring your body back to the essential omega balance it was designed for. And I'll just leave you with this one last question to think about. We're always looking for the next superfood to add to our diet. But what if the most powerful thing you could do for your health isn't about adding something new, but about simply taking away a hidden staple that could be doing more harm than good? And of course, a quick reminder that all the information here is for educational purposes. This is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please always talk to your own qualified healthcare provider about any health concerns or before you make any big changes to your diet.
All right, quick reset. Blink twice, stretch your shoulders, and don't worry, your health lesson isn't over yet. We're switching gears now, but this next topic is just as important for your body. And if you care about staying healthy the smart way, make sure you're subscribed.
All right, let's get right into it. We all know sugar isn't great for our health. Maybe not for our waistline, but have you ever really thought about what it's doing to your skin? Today we're going to talk about something scientists call the internal toast effect. And believe me, it is a major, and I mean major, player in skin aging, basically turning your soft, youthful skin into something, well, a lot more fragile. This right here, this is the perfect way to picture what's happening. Think of that soft, fluffy bread as your healthy, happy collagen and elastin fibers. But when you add heat, or in our body's case, when you add too much sugar, that whole structure changes. It gets stiff, it gets brittle, it gets brown. Seriously, keep this image of toast in your head as we unpack the science behind it. Okay, so let's step out of the kitchen and into the lab for a second. What exactly is this thing called glycation? Well, it's a chemical reaction that's happening inside you right now, and the sugar in your diet is basically stepping on the gas pedal. So here's the nitty-gritty. Glycation is a spontaneous reaction, and the key word there is spontaneous. It means it happens without your body's permission. It's kind of going rogue, outside of the normal controlled systems. Sugar molecules, like glucose, literally just grab onto proteins. And in your skin, their absolute favorite targets are collagen and elastin. You know, the very things that give your skin its bounce and firmness. The end result of this hostile takeover is a bunch of nasty compounds with a fitting name, AGs, which stands for Advanced Glycation End Products.
And this is how that damage really locks in and becomes permanent. It's not a one-and-done thing. First, you get that initial bond between the sugar and the protein. That creates a pretty unstable compound. But it doesn't just fall apart. Nope, it reorganizes itself, becomes more stable, and eventually, it forms a permanent crosslink, an AG. And that crosslink is like a little weld, fusing your flexible protein fibers together and making them totally rigid.
So what you've got to understand is that this is really a two-pronged attack. On one side, these AGEs are directly assaulting the scaffolding of your skin. That's the dermis ECM. They're cross-linking the collagen and elastin, making everything stiff. But they're also attacking the very factories that make the collagen and elastin, your fibroblast cells. AGEs create so much stress that they can actually cause these vital cells to die off, crippling your skin's ability to heal and rebuild itself. It's a double whammy. Okay, so that's the chemistry. It's a lot, I know. But what does it all look like? How does this invisible little reaction turn into the stuff we actually see in the mirror? Let's connect the dots. This comparison just says it all, doesn't it? Healthy collagen is everything you want for your skin. It's like a perfectly woven, flexible, strong safety net. It bounces right back. But glycated collagen, it's the exact opposite. Those cross-links make it stiff, fragile, and weak. The whole structure just becomes a mess, and it can't support your skin the way it's supposed to. So when that support structure fails, you see it. When that brittle collagen framework starts to crack under pressure, you get wrinkles. When your elastin can't snap back anymore, you get sagging skin. And get this, the AGs themselves can have this yellowish-brown color which can make your whole skin tone look dull. But they don't just sit there. They are pro-inflammatory, which means they are constantly kicking up a low-grade inflammation that just damages the skin even more. Now, I know all of this might sound a little grim, but the story doesn't end there, not at all. And this is where it gets really hopeful. Clinical studies have shown that if you get your blood sugar under tight control, you can reduce the amount of new glycated collagen being formed by a massive 25% in just 4 months. This is proof that you can absolutely intervene and you can see results pretty quickly.
All right, let's turn all this science into an action plan. Because, knowing what the problem is one thing. Knowing how to fight back is everything. So, we're going to walk through 3 solid strategies to help you turn down the heat on that internal toast.
No big surprise here. The first and honestly the most powerful strategy starts right on your plate. What you're eating, and this is just as important, how you're cooking it is your #1 tool in the fight against glycation.
The thinking here is super simple. Less sugar in your bloodstream means less fuel for the fire of glycation. But here's the part that might be new to you. How you cook matters. A lot. High heat cooking, think grilling, frying, broiling, that beautiful browning on your food, that's actually creating AGEs right there in the food itself. So by choosing lower temp methods like steaming or boiling, you can dramatically cut down on the AGEs you're eating.
Now for your second line of defense, what you put directly on your skin. There are some really smart topical ingredients that science has shown can get in the way of the glycation process, giving you another layer of powerful protection.
And the ways these work are just fascinating. Take carnosine, for example. It's a total hero. It basically acts like a decoy, jumping in front of the sugar molecule to sacrifice itself, so your collagen doesn't have to. Then you've got antioxidants like vitamin C and E, which are essential for cleaning up all the free radical mess that AGEs create. And then compounds like resveratrol and green tea have been shown to actually stop AGEs from forming in the first place. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, and finally, let's talk about a supplemental strategy. Because while diet and skincare are definitely your heavy hitters, some research points to specific supplements that can give you a little extra help from the inside out.
And that brings us to benfotiamine. It's a special fat-soluble form of vitamin B1, and study data shows it's really good at one thing: reducing the formation of new AGEs. The way it works is pretty clever. It fires up an enzyme that basically acts like a traffic cop, redirecting the building blocks of AGEs down a completely different and harmless path. It stops the problem before it can even start.
But, and this is a really important point, we have to be realistic here. Benfotiamine is all about prevention. It helps block new AGEs from being made. It does not go in and break up or reverse the damage that's already there. So the main thing to remember is that this is a supplement to your efforts, not a replacement for a smart, low-sugar diet. Your diet is still king.
So, after all that, the science, the visible signs, the solutions, what's the single most important idea to walk away with? Well, it all comes back to that first image. It's all about controlling your internal toast.
Here's the bottom line. That slow, relentless buildup of sugar-damaged proteins is a huge reason why our skin loses that youthful structure. It's what turns our strong, flexible collagen into something brittle, leading straight to wrinkles, sagging, and just a loss of that healthy glow.
But the most empowering thing about all this is that you have way more control than you probably thought. You are in charge of the fuel for this reaction through your diet. You control how many AGEs you eat based on how you cook. You can add a shield of defense with skincare. You can, for all intents and purposes, control the thermostat on your own internal toasting process. So the knowledge is yours now. You get how sugar ages your skin from the inside out, and you have a clear, science-backed plan. The only question left is, what's the first move you're gonna make?
Thank you for your time. Subscribe for more health education. Like the video and share it to help others stay informed.